Assalamu alaikum. This series will teach you Node.js quickly and help you get you started on your Node.js journey as soon as possible. I will assume that you know at least one other programming language, as this series will not teach you how to be a programmer, but how to be a Node.js developer. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Our first chapter is about JavaScript. So open up a browser and go to inspect element, and then in the console. Now we're first going to learn about declarations. There's a let lets you reassign to it, and there's a const, which is a constant, and as its name suggests, it cannot be reassigned. And if I do this, it will throw an error because it cannot be reassigned. There's another, it's called a var. Var is like let, in which that it can be reassigned, but it can also be redeclared like this. Now let's move on. Now we'll talk about functions. You can define a function like this with the function keyword. Console.log is like a print statement, and now if I call low, it will print what I wanted it to print. And there is another kind of function, it's called an arrow function. Now if I call F, it will print this. Now, there is a concept in JavaScript about callback functions. A callback is not actually a function, but it's something that you do with it that makes it a callback. What you do is that you pass a function as an argument to another function, and that function may call it inside its body. So let me just show you, lest you get confused. Let's define another function and call it lel, and we'll pass it a callback. And what it will do is it will just do something of its own, something like this, and then it will call that callback function. Now if we call lel and pass it the f function that we declared, it was an arrow function, what will happen? This will happen. Now that's all about functions. Let's move on. Now we're going to learn about arrays. Arrays in JavaScript are like lists. Any elements, any data types can be assigned to it. We can push in an array, not push. This returns the length of the array, the new length. Now the array is like this, and we can pop from the array, and we'll return the element that was popped. Now the array is again like this. What if you wanted to push in the element at the start of the array? You can also do that with unshift, like this. And you can also remove from the start like this. We can loop our arrays like a traditional loop, as is found in any other programming language. And there's another kind of loop here. It's called a for each. For each takes in a callback. and it returns the element of the array, not its index, so we can just print the element directly like this. Now there is another loop and it's called a for of, and it works like this. And like the above one, it returns the element of the array like this. So this is it about the arrays. Let's move on. There is another non-primitive data type in JavaScript. It's called an object. An object is like a hash map. It has keys and it has values. How you define an object is quite simple. Like, I guess I'll have to rename it. There's one defined already. Let's just name it. Yeah. Okay, so this is a key and this is its value, and I can define another key and another value. I can also put in a function like something like this. And now I can access these attributes like this, or I can call the function like this. Pretty cool, right? To iterate over the objects or the object's attributes, I can do this. It gives me both the key and its value. The key and its value is actually the function definition, this, you see. And there's another way you can iterate over the object. It is called a for in loop. You define it like this. What would this print? What is k? I guess you would have guessed it. Ah, wait, I have done something wrong. A is not iterable. Ah, yeah, it is not for of is for arrays. Yeah, it is for in. My bad. And this. Yep, these are the keys of that object. And if I want values for them, I can do this. Key, value, key, value, key, and its value. So an object is a non-primitive data type in JavaScript, which is quite very interesting and useful. So now let's move on. There's a small thing that I want you to know about. It's a comparison. It's the comparison operator. Comparisons work like this, right? And if I do, this, it should return false, but it says it's true. But then again, if I do this, it says false. So what this means is when you say triple equal signs, it says, okay, the value should be same and the data type should be same. But when you do two equal signs, it says the value should be same. It does not care about the data type. So that's why this thing is true and this thing is false. So yeah, and you just need to keep this in mind. Let's move on. Now there's a concept, not really a concept. There are three functions that you need to know about to work with arrays and to work with objects. And those three functions are, let me just start with the most simple one. It's called a map. So a map, oh, not this map, it's this map. So a map is a method of array instance creates a new array populated with the results of calling a provided function on every element in the calling array. So what it does is it iterates over the array and returns an array, and you can do anything you like in that function. Inside that function, it takes a callback. Let's just use their example. They have an array 14916, and what they do is they map over that array, and for each element they multiply it by 2, and it returns a new element and pushes it in a new array, and that new array prints this. It becomes this. Each element has been multiplied by 2 and returned in a new array. There's another function now that we need to see, and it's called a filter. Filter, well, obviously filters out anything against a specific condition. So what it does is it has these words, and it will filter out any word that has length more than 6. Actually, it will filter in any word that has length more than 6. So if I run this, these are all words that have length more than 6. But if I do this, now these are the words that have length of less than 6. So filter is really good in filtering out, well, obviously, anyway, filtering out the elements. Now the last one we need to see is reduce. So what reduce really does is it takes all the elements of an array and creates a single one out of all of them. Now it's your own formula, whatever you want to do to it. Most of the time it's used to add the numbers or concatenate a string. Actually, do not concatenate a string. It's not a good way to concatenate a string using reduce. If you want to concatenate a string, just use the concat method or the plus operator on the strings. So let's just review their example. They have an array 1 2 3 4, and there's an initial value, and there's an accumulator, and there's a current value. So what reduce does is it takes a callback, and that callback is passed two arguments, that is an accumulator and a current value. And what they do to reduce that array is they add these two values, and this is the initial value. The initial value you can think of like the starting value. Oh yeah, that is what initial means. Anyways, if this confuses you, let's just put braces here and do this. Now if you can see, reduce take two parameters, one a callback function and another an initial value, right? So if we call it, it says 10. 10 is the sum of all these values. So this is it for our chapter 1 JavaScript, and in our next chapter we are going to get started with Node.js. Adios.